Hey guys, welcome to the Shipmate YouTube channel where we talk about all things fulfillment, logistics, and e-commerce. Today we're going to have a special guest on the show who's going to talk about cryptocurrency and how it could impact the future of e-commerce. So today we're going to be talking a bit about the future of cryptocurrencies in e-commerce. I have with me Andrew Antar.
How you doing?
Good. So tell us a bit about you and cryptocurrency.
I've been in technology for some time and always interested in finance as well. And so cryptocurrency is sort of the nice intersection of computer science as well as finance. And I think can change the game in a lot of ways.
What do you see for the future of cryptocurrency? I know there's a lot of debate around regulation on cryptocurrency, and I'm really interested to see where you think it's going to fit in modern day commerce, and if you think we're going to one day see it in stores, whether we're going to be able to use it on Amazon. What do you think is going to happen with cryptocurrency?
Yeah, well, mainstream adoption is a huge hurdle. And so once we're at mainstream adoption, that's when we'll have this sort of consumer retail level use case. So in commerce, online, Amazon, coffee shop, and that's sort of like holy grail of where crypto wants to go. But a lot of things have to come into place in order to enable that to happen. So the regulation, compliance, SEC, CFTC, all have to figure out their guidelines on how to regulate tokens. And so Bitcoin and Ethereum are currently regulated as commodities, whereas a lot of the other Ether tokens are considered securities. So, and it's very unclear as to what point does it convert from a security into a commodity, but that just sort of puts a lot of complexity into the mix with new projects and new technologies. But ultimately, in order for it to really work and replace something like Visa or just the US dollar for your everyday transactions, is the fees have to come down significantly and the throughput and the scalability has to rise. So there's a couple of projects that I think have a lot of promise in those areas on fees, security, throughput, e-commerce. One of them being Hedera Hashgraph as a very compelling cryptocurrency that has super low fees and high throughput and security. And another is Particle, which is backwards compatible with Bitcoin, and they have the Particle marketplace as well as a Shopify plugin where you can actually use the Part token for your Shopify purchases. So there's some promising stuff out there, but really until a huge player like Amazon or eBay decide to support crypto natively or just offer the ability to accept Bitcoin or Ethereum for larger purchases, until those bigger, like Starbucks, something on, or Walmart on that level, will, once that happens, then it'll become more of a commonplace thing. And right now it's still a niche type of use case.
Yeah, so I saw that the other day that Facebook is coming out with a cryptocurrency. So maybe that would be the beginning of, making cryptocurrency mainstream and being able to use it, in everyday use cases. But I'm kind of curious, a lot of people talk about cryptocurrency, they talk about how, the ease of transactions, the security of it, and, all these benefits. But I'm really curious where you think the benefits are going to come in, especially when we're talking about online retail. Like, what is going to make cryptocurrency better than the US dollar when it comes to making these kinds of transactions?
Well, on the Facebook side of things, I think the way they went about announcing it sort of got them in a lot of trouble. So they have basically gotten a lot of heat from the regulatory authorities as well as a lot of central banks in different countries that feel threatened by this. And Facebook has very grandeur visions of sort of having their own currency and basically being able to print whatever they want. And in many ways that threatens the sovereignty of other nations who are, base their power in their currency. So it's going to take a long time before something like Libra could actually get released legally. On the other hand, if and when that does happen, I'm not saying it will be Libra. It very well could be. But if any major Fortune 100 company releases a sort of corporate coin, this is the first of what could be many, that's when I think mainstream adoption will really pick up. And in order for it to compete with the dollar, you have to have the stability of the dollar. You have to have better fees. So right now, what you're competing with is really 30 cents plus 3%. So your Visa fees, 30 cents plus 3% on average. That starts to impact transactions that are under $10 in a very big way. So for the small transactions or micro transactions, having a much higher and better fee structure, that's what's going to help that adoption curve. For the larger transactions, thousands of dollars, it's actually sometimes cheaper to use cryptocurrency. But for the smaller transactions, in many cases, it could be more expensive than Visa. The other thing is that the throughput, when we have 3 to 7 transactions per second with something like Bitcoin, it really doesn't come close to competing with the Visa network, which can handle 50 to 70,000 transactions per second. So there's a lot of sort of fundamental protocol, base level, foundational things that need to get worked out. And over the last several years, a lot of really promising technologies have come out. So the notion of this DAG data structure, the directed acyclical graph, as opposed to a blockchain. Both are distributed ledger technologies, but a DAG structure could potentially be way more efficient and faster. So things like IOTA came out with a DAG, as well as Hashgraph, which I mentioned is also a DAG. So while blockchain has the sort of very buzzwordy flashiness to it, it's really distributed ledger technology, DLT, which is the umbrella topic, and the more broadly distributed computing, where currency is really just the killer app. It's only one use case. The use cases are far broader than just currency. So having distributed applications for gaming, for just keeping track of data. If you think about airlines need to keep track of pricing data. Whenever you have multiple parties like credit agencies that are keeping track of data that they need to keep in sync, and you need that in a trustless environment. So you don't have to trust a central authority. You can trust the network, the code, and basically everyone has that degree of trust. And so when the data is distributed, everybody can rely on it, and they know that it's not hackable, that it's not different over here. And so, in order for all this to make it into e-commerce, once those technological hurdles, compliance hurdles, all that is sort of fully baked, and we have big players like Amazon make big decisions and huge investments into integrating some form of distributed ledger technology or coin. It might even be the Amazon coin. Jeff Bezos might make his own currency. There's no reason why they couldn't. All the code is open source and out there. So, there's things like the Particle Marketplace plugin on Shopify. So if you have a Shopify store right now, you can start using the plugin to have people use the part token. And so it's hard for things like various plugins and coins to gain traction unless there's sort of a driving force from a large corporate or just sort of retail trend in which everybody's adopting it very quickly and it becomes very common.
Cryptocurrency is this buzzword right now. Everyone's all hopped up on Bitcoin fever. What do you think is going to be a way that sellers can take advantage of cryptocurrency? Maybe this year, maybe next year, maybe in the next 5 years. Like, where do you see advantages coming in? Obviously, you got things like international trade and the fees associated with that, but how can we really leverage this blockchain technology in our businesses to become overall more profitable and more efficient?
I think there's a couple things you can do right away if you have an e-commerce store, and that is just accepting Bitcoin, Ethereum, and cryptocurrency in general. And it's really easy to do that with coin-based commerce. You can drop a piece of code in your site, and boom, anybody can select to pay with Bitcoin, Ethereum, what have you. I believe that there are other options within things like Shopify or WooCommerce and BigCommerce and other e-commerce providers. There's other plugins and things that people have made to accept crypto. And so the reason why that's something you should just turn on no matter what is because there's a lot of people who hold a ton of crypto, and that's their preferred way to pay.
Well, we thank you for coming on the show. We appreciated having you, and we really enjoyed your input.
All right, thanks. That was great to be here.